What's up, you filthy casuals? Welcome to the Casual Shenanigans Gaming Podcast, a podcast all about the irreverent love of gaming. I'm one of your hosts, Germ Gaming, and I am joined tonight by James, the old, the gray. Whoa. I am also joined by Dave.
I have no part of these nicknames.
And sneaky snake oil salesman Joel.
Howdy, folks.
And this is the Casual Shenanigans Gaming Podcast. I want to thank everybody for coming out for episode 100 and 101. They were awesome episodes. Last week was pretty much just a raw information dump, but lots of people responded really well to all the changes we talked about. So you're going to start seeing those implemented tonight. But the first thing I want to say, got a little housekeeping to do, is if you support us on Patreon, you need to be checking your Patreon messages, because that's how we're sending out new casual conversations, casual shenanigans tech episodes. The first one has already been recorded and sent out. And we will be asking those of you who pledge at the $10 and up level for your recommendations for our casual conversations. We need to get your link information to go on the Patreon page on our website, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So definitely be checking your Patreon messages. In other housekeeping news, we've gotten like 110 subscribers on the YouTube channel just in the past week on the new Casual Shenanigans channel. So nice. Good job, everybody. Thank you for that. And what else? What else is new? I mean, you know, we've been talking about new stuff for like weeks now. I feel like I'm done talking about new stuff. We just got to do new stuff now.
Now we have to actually deliver.
Like of course we would. We're amazing. But we're going to start with Patreon, because we have had a bunch of new people pledge to us on Patreon this week. I feel weird saying people pledged us. Like, pledge.
They drank the Kool-Aid.
They carried their holy dollar up the aisle.
Sounds like the pledge I made people do on my YouTube channel. They had to pledge their allegiance to my tech reviews, that they would give me their new tech information before anybody else, and I actually had them read out stuff. And so this one guy, right, I said, I'm gonna give out free consoles to anyone who pledges. So I got a couple people like, so they're sitting in their basements, like they got their hand up going, I pledge to Boundless MP that I will give him all new tech information first. It was awesome. And then the best part, I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. There were so many people that signed up. I couldn't afford a console, but here's something, you know, like I'm shipping it to you right now. So he gave me their address. I shipped him a button with my face on it with the earbuds in, and my face like,
Joel, for someone so busy, how do you find the time to troll people like this?
That's life. That's living, man.
That's so involved.
I have to make time for that.
That's living. So you go down to the corner and throw rocks at cars. That's just living.
That's not trolling. That's not trolling.
That is literally trolling.
That's trolling. No, chucking rocks? No.
Oh, not chucking rocks. No, I mean,
I'm saying what I did is trolling. Yeah, chucking rocks is
homeless
bad.
people with bats. It's just trolling, man.
Pranks.
It's a prank, bro. It's a prank.
But anyway, we have some people we need to thank on Patreon. Joel, take it away with them voices. But
hold on. I got to pick some for you.
Okay, all right, James. Ready? James, what voice?
All right, for Jonathan, I want you to do Sean Connery.
Just say first name, second name. Don't give away the names.
Yeah. Just
okay. All right.
I'd like to thank Jonathan because he pledged to our Patreon, and that will allow us to talk like Sean Connery to you. So thank you very much for giving us your money, because the podcast can only get better. So
that actually wasn't as bad as usual.
Is that Joel's best impression ever? Oh my, holy crap.
Well, I mean, Joel, like you kept the same voice you were doing the entire time.
I could tell. I was like, if I lose concentration for just a second, here it goes. Again.
He's reverting to his Daisy character, the same
Joel,
one every time.
You need to read the second one to yourself once or twice quietly. Unless you think you got it first try.
All right, Chris Tucker for this one.
Chris Tucker.
John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith. Hey there, we gonna slide down and do some kung fu stuff. Yo, whoa! Thanks so much for your pledge. Woo! That's the best I can remember.
That's all right. That's not bad.
I don't know who that is. So
you don't know Chris Tucker, Jackie Chan, Rush Hour. Did you ever see?
Okay, yeah. Okay,
I've never actually seen Rush Hour, but I know
I've seen Rush Hour.
My parents, I was like, why don't you take that badge and show it up your ass?
Jill likes any jokes about things getting shoved.
It's a hot button topic for him.
That's legal now. All right. Next
All
one.
right. Let's do our president, Barack Obama.
So bad. Now, I would like to thank you, Brett, for pledging to our CSG podcast. Now, it may not be the best, but what we do bring you is quality content. Thank you very much.
What happened to Joel? He's doing so much better tonight.
Yeah. Dude, did you like practice everybody? Like you have this giant list of hundreds of people.
He's going to pick one. I know it.
All right, James. Oh, well, this next one has already been chosen. This guy chose his own. You can always, when you pledge on Patreon, you can request a voice that Joel does for you. That's our gift to you.
It's our gift to the world.
I'm Batman. Travis Fallows, you pledged money for our podcast, and you're going to get this podcast. So listen to me straight. Tell me where your freaking money is and pledge to our podcast more money than you gave me. Tell me where I'm at.
You're going to kill me with all these freaking names.
Easy, cowboy. Easy.
All right, last one.
All right, the last one, we're going to go with the Italian Dracula.
For the fans, they deserve it.
Oh no, Armani edited the pledge. I wonder what they edited to. Did they up the pledge? Did they lower the pledge? I don't know. I don't ever get this information. So what I'm going to do is blood suck you. Suck your blood.
That's a left turn.
Mistake right at the end.
Wow, he wins twice. All right.
I was not ready for that.
Well, not sure where to go now.
The podcast has come to a screeching halt.
Do we have a song for the main topic? I don't think we do, but we begin the show like we always do with our main topic, which this week is Batman.
Well, that worked out well.
And to start out this, we have a little bit of a video that Joel made for us with some of his thoughts about Batman Arkham Knight compared to the previous Batman games and so on. So we're going to watch that now. All the hosts, let me know when you have the video queued up.
Oh, hold on.
James wasn't ready. James was not ready to play the video.
Don't you delete it.
One and done, Joel. One and done.
Ready?
All right, I'm ready.
Ready.
On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so I just finally got this game, Batman Arkham Knight, and man, this game kind of made me forget how much I really enjoyed Batman, just as a character, as a video game, and I just wanted to talk about it for a few minutes because, man, I'm having a lot of fun with this game. Besides the fact that there's a lot of PC glitches, you can take a look, I mean, like Asylum from back in 2009, like, look at the difference, it's ridiculous. And, you know, when you play the game on its own, it doesn't seem that crazy of a difference, but man, when you swap between them, you're like, holy crap, it just looks really, really good. The city in Arkham Knight is huge, just massive. The amount of detail they have in it is just kind of unbelievable. It really does feel like an absolute just next-gen game. Like, there's so many things going on. You really get to feel like Batman. And you can see just from the footage on the right, just, I mean, it looked great. I mean, it's an awesome-looking game, but it feels a little bit more blocky. Like, not necessarily all the characters and stuff, but mostly just the kind of some of the environments and stuff. You can tell, like, it just feels really flat. Like, look at the ocean on the left. It's just kind of ridiculous compared to on the right. Now, obviously, the Arkham Asylum, when it first came out, was a little bit more of a just a linear, really well-crafted story in Arkham Asylum, and you're just the true detective. And look at this shot. Look, as it transitions to Arkham Knight 2015. Man, it's kind of ridiculous. Then back to the old game, and it's just even the cape, like everything. I mean, they really improved upon this game. Even the flying, like the flying in the original game, you could kind of glide a little bit, but now this next Batman, I mean, you can do so many things, from jumping outside of your vehicle to just beating the crap out of people on the streets and stuff. It's just amazing. The animations, everything, it flows so well. There's so many different combinations too that it can almost feel a little overwhelming, but a lot of the stuff, I mean, you don't like, the best part is you don't have to use any of that. Like, you don't have to use most of those. You can kind of have fun however you want to play it. But if you do know those things, it's just really cinematic, and it just feels like you're Christian Bale as Batman, just beating the crap out of people. I'm truly enjoying the game. Like, the rain effects to just the sound effects of the car, and how it swerves and how you can jump out of it and the car keeps going. Like, a lot of that stuff is just super impressive, I think, to me at least. That I feel like games are really starting to advance in this category, where it's not just visuals only, but it's just not even just open world. It's more of like how characters interact, how vehicles interact. Oh yeah, right there, like just beating the crap out of like, you can just punch him as fast as you can tap a button, which is just so exciting. Like, just the rain on the cape, and you can do all sorts of little just different tricks, like the way you can jump off of walls and keeps, you know, flying around. It just, man, it's so detailed. It really is so detailed. Kind of reminds me of playing BioShock for the first time. It was just so incredibly detailed, and it just kind of blew your mind. Like, there's so much to see that it was hard to kind of take it all in. So, but yeah, anyways, I definitely say go check this game out whenever you can. If you can get it on PS4 or Xbox One, it's running really great, apparently. I bought it on PS4, or I got it on through the NVIDIA code early, so it works okay on my machine. It does hiccup every once in a while, and it's a little annoying, but honestly, I think I've gotten lucky, so it's not too bad. It's locked to 30, but it stays pretty much locked, so it's not that bad. So I've been really enjoying it, and I think you guys will enjoy it too.
Cool. Thanks, Joel, for making that.
Time to go buy a copy.
Joel,
I was laughing at the beginning.
Oh yeah, and I realized I know what I said.
This game made me forget why I love Batman.
I can't remember anything. What's Batman again?
What am I playing again? Dark brooding hero person.
It's funny though that Joel, apparently you can tell he's been playing the game because he started watching The Dark Knight Returns, which I let him borrow like 3 months ago, and he just sits down and watches it all finally. He's like, dude, Batman's so badass.
But I'm replaying through the first one too now, because I forgot I had it on PC. I got it like forever ago, and I got upgraded to the Game of the Year edition. I think they gave it away when they did the whole Windows Live thing. So
Okay, but our main topic tonight is, why do we get crappy PC ports like Batman Arkham Knight? That's just the latest in a long line of crappy PC ports, but why do they happen? What happens with them? What's the issue? And what can we do about it?
Well, let's talk about some of the ports that have been just absolutely awful.
Mortal Kombat X, Arkham Knight, Dark Souls.
Oh, that's another one to add. I'm actually putting together a list, guys. I just started putting the list together of just launch games, how they're working. Not necessarily a versus thing, but just to kind of keep track, like, okay, it works great on PC, PS4, Xboxes are just crap. But just to see how is it lining up, and then how long it takes. So I forgot to add Mortal Kombat to the list, but I have Far Cry 4 and Batman now as kind of being ones that are just really
Watch Dogs.
But I thought Watch Dogs, I mean, it was pretty bad, but it
was bad.
It worked, I guess, though, right? Or did it not?
I remember Dave
all
talking
that
pretty
list.
bad about it.
It worked, but it worked with severe problems. Like, I don't think it would crash out on you all the time, but it was a very unpleasant experience.
Yeah.
Dave, weren't you rocking out like 15 frames a second?
No, that was the weird part. Is like I had a pretty good FPS. I don't think I could hit 60. It was the stuttering that was so bad. Like as soon as you got to driving, it would just start stuttering like crazy. Which in a city game, an open world city game, you do a lot of driving.
So let's talk about why does this happen? Because now there are bad launch games on consoles too.
Right.
Like this is a system wide issue, but we're talking about crappy PC ports tonight. Which one of you was telling me about video card companies having to?
Someone was talking about that the other day, about how they're not getting good driver support from either of the companies. Mm-hmm. And so they're basically working with cut modified drivers. Dave,
Yeah, I found an article from I guess it was more of a forum post that was about as long as an article from a guy who was an intern at NVIDIA working on their drivers during the Vista era when they were having to do huge overhauls to the driver system. And he said that drivers get a lot of flack, and NVIDIA and AMD both get a lot of flack for their drivers, but the reality that he saw was that game developers, a lot of times, because projects are so rushed, scope changes, stuff like that, there are game developers who don't follow like API standards for like DirectX. He described one game that he didn't mention by name that they didn't even use the commands begin frame and end frame. Like, it's kind of like not using HTML tags on a website. Like, it's the very framework of the system. Right. And what he was describing was a situation where NVIDIA and AMD were having to band-aid people's games for them at the driver level and fix all kinds of massive issues because the developers either weren't following standards, weren't planning well, or were just trying to rush things too much and weren't putting the effort towards the PC versions.
Now, do you think that's because there's so many different combinations of PC hardware that something needs to be developed for? Or is it because the PC version is the like redheaded stepchild because they don't tend to sell as well?
Is the answer yes? Acceptable?
Probably, yeah. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, it's the easy answer, but I think it's a bit of everything there, for sure.
What I was thinking is, with PC ports, like when you go to a console, you have a point person, you have a company that you go to.
Yeah.
And go through the proper channels, get your licensing and stuff. And, not that consoles never make crappy games. I mean, half of the Wii's library was shovelware, but you go to a company like Sony or Microsoft, and you at least have their support, their architecture, but there's really no point. I mean, you can go to NVIDIA or AMD, but I mean that's it. I mean, it's not like Microsoft is going to necessarily help, or it's Valve is going to help.
Yeah, I mean, because it's not like they even could really do anything either. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I mean, I'm not even sure what they could do other than maybe just give lists of like hardware stats of what people most have. You know what I mean? So maybe like they probably develop for that.
Do you think the problem is they don't have access to, or they don't have all the information they need to properly optimize for hardware? Because there are indie games that run absolutely beautifully and look great, like Payday 2. Runs fantastic, and I mean, looks good for what it is.
It's not very optimized.
I would say it is. With the single 290, I was running 4K Ultra 60 FPS. I mean, that's...
Well, you have 290 also.
but 4K, I'm saying that like, I would say it is pretty optimized. I haven't tried it on any computer that couldn't run it.
And on a side note, Jeremiah, Payday 2 is weird because that was a PC first game, like you said, that was pretty well optimized, ran great. Then the Xbox One port that just came out was a terribly broken port for like, a week, I think it was? Like crashes, frame rate issues, stuttering, all kinds of nastiness. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a weird scenario there.
And do we know how that happened?
Just was not a good port at first. I mean, they've been patching it, but...
I mean, we know what happened with Arkham Knight. There was a small development studio that I looked at their last, like the games they've actually made. They've made some okay games. But they were given the monumental task of like a 12-man studio of porting a AAA release like Arkham Knight in like 8 weeks, supposedly. A lot of this is hearsay, but it's very well backed up hearsay. And they were given the task of porting it. And apparently Warner Brothers knew Arkham Knight was broken for months before its release. And they decided to push ahead with it anyway, which is kind of what they did on Arkham Origins when they decided a while after launch they were going to stop fixing bugs and just work on DLC from that point on because they'd already sold most of the copies they were going to. Which my theory on why we get crappy ports is, for the PC especially, is because developers know PC gamers are gullible and will buy it anyway. Because even on launch day with Arkham Knight, when everything wasn't working, people were coming together and figuring out how to hack the game to get stuff to work, like what INI files need modifying, what you should and shouldn't do. Console gamers would just say it works or it doesn't, and they would just complain about it till it got fixed because they can't do anything. Like either the game is good or it isn't. But on the PC, people will figure out ways around it, like with Grand Theft Auto 4, which is another terrible PC port. People just figured it out, and the game had legs for years and years and years and sold great. So I think it's developers know they don't have to. So even if they know the game sucks, they choose to go ahead with it anyway, based on pre-orders or whatever. They know people are going to buy it.
How much is that going to change with Valve having a refund policy?
Ooh.
Well, Arkham Knight came out right after that refund policy got reinstated, and it was pulled from shelves after like 12 hours, less than 24 hours. So I would say that'll probably change.
Well, the thing is, like, what I was saying about not having a point, like, for all the crappiness that they have, EA at least has their Origin set up so they can do a lot more support, and they can actually focus on their games, because they don't want their games still end up running like crap, but at least they have more control over it than just throwing, Batman on Steam or something.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't think EA wants to do it because they want the user experience to be the best. I think EA does Origin because they want to have all of the pie. But
right. But when you have your own architecture, you at least, since you're the sole responsibility.
Yeah, very true.
I don't know.
I'd be curious. You know how, like, I know a lot of people have said, like, oh, now the consoles are like not 64-bit. What I was gonna say, whatever the architecture, x86. There we go. Yeah. Because of that, like, it'd be a much easier process between back and forth. But right so far, it doesn't sound like it's been that easy.
Well, for stuff like Arkham Knight, the process would be easy if they gave an equal amount of development time to the PC version. But like any game that got rushed out in 12 weeks, it just isn't going to run well. Like there's no way it possibly could. So in theory, yes, they should run pretty well. And
I'm not even necessarily talking about now this one, but I'm saying just in general.
In general,
apparently it has. I guess I don't feel like I've seen like oh wow, that's really, really easy. You know what I mean?
I feel like we are seeing a lot more parity between the Xbox One and the PS4 versions of games. Whereas like there used to be very, very big differences between them, and now it's usually the Xbox One is just a few frames per second behind and just a little bit lower on resolution sometimes. But other than that, the games are pretty similar. So I think x86 is definitely making an improvement there. Yeah. But I also think it's probably going to take a couple years before we really know for sure. Because we've had games that run fantastically and games that run terribly. For all we know, Grand Theft Auto 5 runs so well on consoles and on the PC because they're both x86. For all we know. Yeah. Rockstar said they were going to do a really good job this time, and they appear to have done a pretty good job this time. So maybe x86 helped them, and maybe it didn't make a difference. But
yeah, I did read the article about how they developed it for PS4 or just consoles in general. They said the guy who was working on the engine kind of did a really good guesstimate of what he thought the consoles were going to be, and he basically guessed correctly. Mm-hmm. He did a pretty good job. So apparently it wasn't too much of because they had to obviously start developing it way before they came out. But I guess apparently he guessed pretty correctly or like close that they didn't have to like make a massive overhaul of this is not the or it's too much or it's too less or whatever. So
yeah.
Do you think it hurt when obviously when you're understaffed it definitely hurts, but
it does.
Does it hurt doing simultaneous ports like releases? Obviously,
all platforms simultaneously. You mean?
Yeah.
It probably does. Yeah, every new platform you can launch on at the same time has to add complication. That's why exclusives tend to run really well on their systems. Mm-hmm. Bloodborne, I think, is a standout of a game that's an exclusive that doesn't really run that well. Most exclusives run very, very well because they're only coming out on one system.
But I was saying, like GTA obviously came out much later, but even past their deadline of what they said they were originally going to do, which I think them as a company have learned to take their time on that port, especially with the popularity of 5.
Yeah. Well, and I think as we wrap down the main topic, I think that's a worthwhile point to consider. I don't really get mad at developers most of the time for this stuff unless they outright lie about something. Developers, like people who make games, you have to assume they got into this industry because they really like games and they really want to make games. I put most of the blame squarely on publishers. Publishers have shareholders and deadlines and advertising budgets and everything else. And if they say the game is coming out at a certain time, the game is coming out at a certain time.
Yeah.
So you have companies like Rockstar that say, screw it, we're going to wait as long as we want. The game comes out when we say it does, and it's going to run great. Same thing with The Witcher 3, developer and publisher, same people. I mean, Grand Theft Auto 5, like Rockstar doesn't publish their own stuff, but it's Grand Theft Auto 5. They can pretty much write a blank check. But like The Witcher 3, they publish it, develop and publish it themselves with a little bit of help from other people, but like the game is done when they say the game's done. Same thing with Valve. Valve games tend to work really well out of the gate because they're done when they say they're done.
I would say one thing on the benefit of
they're just not done anymore.
The one thing that's benefit of publishers though that we may not be seeing from the developer side is developers are supposed to be talking back and forth with the publisher saying, we can get it by then, we can do it then. If they're behind and the publisher's like, we don't have money to keep funding you for another 6 months, they might not have it. So developers could be behind. So, I mean, it might not all be publishers, so it could be back and forth. I would definitely sway on the more side of trusting the developer going, they want to make the game good. The same way I work on projects and websites, and sometimes we have to get pushed to get it out a little bit earlier.
Right.
And so some parts I can understand going, okay, we got to drop a few features because we have to get it out. We have a deadline. People actually have to get paid to put food on the table for their family. Like
it's a very hard business too.
Yeah, people's lives depend on it too. I mean, like people need food. People, you know what I mean. So it's like I could understand that. So I mean, something I would love to see, and I really like the Steam documentary they did about developer games because it was indie stuff. I want to see one about big companies.
Yeah.
And
dungeons where they keep everyone chained up.
There's been a few documentaries about Half-Life 2 that came out, really good ones. If you ever seen it before, it's called like. Just look up Half-Life 2 documentary, and you could probably find it. But it really talks about how they got it ready for E3, and they for years. And it's really interesting hearing about it. Like it's a lot less I don't know, happy-go-lucky rainbows than it is than people think it is. Like these people are working their asses off to get a game done.
Yeah, well, I mean, but how much money do you think WB's now having to dump into this game for the mistake? As opposed to paying it up front and getting it.
We'll see. How much money are they going to dump into it? They say they're going to dump a lot into it, but are they actually going to? Are they going to push out a couple half-decent patches till the fuss dies down, and then they'll move on to something else and leave the rest of it?
I mean, that's always a possibility.
That's what they did on their last game. I mean, I say it's a very good possibility.
I mean, from the response.
Right.
They said, we're going to work around the clock to.
I'm sure they will. In the Drive Club version, the Drive Club edition that was supposed to come out on launch day came out 8 months later. Like, yeah, I'm sure they were working around the clock that entire time to fix those last couple issues they didn't know about. Like, no, that's like I said, I get mad at developers when they outright lie about stuff, and I suspect that Rocksteady is lying about this. Maybe not intentionally. Maybe their developer is going to twist their arm and they're going to have to move on to something else. But I would be very surprised if this game gets patched to complete 100% working order. That's just my opinion. But
I mean, from a business standpoint, if they knew it was broken, I mean, it's going to obviously have worse effect on their stock to release something that's broken. Just completely broken.
If no shareholders care about sales, we'll see, because there's been plenty of broken games that sold great. And I mean, they might wait a month or two till they get most of the sales they're going to get on the platform and then move on.
Yeah, but consumer confidence is also, it does affect.
It does.
Yeah.
It does, but until that affects sales, until sales are affected, I think they can probably get away with it.
They can't sell anymore right now.
They're going to want to get it fixed enough that they can start selling it again. But past that, we'll see.
I wonder how the refunds are looking right now, even though the game's not available.
I wish we could get info on that.
Oh man, it's got to be bad.
But it's now time to move on to the news.
I had one more question before we move on.
Unacceptable. What's up?
One more question. Sorry, Joel. I wonder how companies perceive Steam sales and stuff like that for when they're making their PC ports. If they just assume that PC gamers are more likely to wait till it gets in the $15, $20 range as opposed to the
any
full
sale
price.
is better than no sale.
Well, I do know they obviously almost every developer who pushes a game out later, they do it because the PCs can. I mean, you can download it. You can illegally download it. It's insanely hard to do it for PS4 or consoles. So if they'd rather wait a week and get some more sales on people going, you know what, I can't wait that week, so I'll buy it on my console instead. Or
people
both.
like Joel, I can't walk upstairs. I'm going to buy it right here on the console now.
All right, now you can do it, Joel.
News time!
All right, our new format for the news, as we said, is each host will bring one news item they want to talk about, and then we have a couple general interest items that we'll fly through pretty quickly.
Fight. Sound like a Survivor.
4 news stories enter.
Jeremiah's is the best. No,
it's the largest.
We'll be fighting on Joel's. So the Fury X has been released, and a lot of people seem to be really disappointed by the early reviews, which really pisses me off. I am a little bit of an AMD fanboy, but the Fury X is a smaller card than the 980 Ti, its main competition. It's much cooler because it has a liquid cooler that keeps it at like a max of 50 degrees Celsius, which is incredible.
Nuts.
And it keeps pace with the 980 Ti. Loses in some games, beats it in others, seems to beat it more around 4K, but it's like a couple frames here and there. The cards go back and forth. I would say the 980 Ti probably wins more than the Fury X does, but it's so close that they're basically neck and neck. And they're the exact same price. And there's tons of people going, well, that's just really disappointing. Like every comment section is full of people going, that's really disappointing of AMD. Like that's not that impressive. That's not even worth it. I'm going to get NVIDIA. It's like, what? It's a smaller card that's cooler and just as fast. And that kind of pisses me off. But I think there's still a lot of potential left in the card. I think looking at AMD's track record, what they did with their last couple generations of card launches, I think when the Fury comes out in about a month or a couple weeks, I guess, I think the Fury is going to be basically just as fast for $500 to $550 because that's what they did with the 290 and 290X. So when they do that, I think that's when they're going to unlock the voltage on the Fury X. They said the Fury X's water cooler would be an overclocker's dream, but the voltage is locked and people are getting like 5% overclocks, which is hardly dream status. And supposedly this cooler can cool like 350 watts of heat dissipation, and the TDP for the card is like over 100 watts less than that. So in theory, you could push the voltage of this card, you could push the power consumption like 25-30%, and the card could cool it with no issues. So part of me has this little theory that AMD's waiting to see what NVIDIA does next, and they're about to drop a hammer with the Fury X. But I'll be waiting with great anticipation because a 980 Ti can be overclocked to be just as fast as my 970 SLI. I am a little bit tempted. I'm having some more SLI problems. I'll never trust Dave again about dual card setups.
I love mine.
I
don't know what the problem is.
I don't think it's for me. I just don't think it's for me.
Dave, honestly, you've reset your computer more than anybody else in the group.
I've reset my computer?
Yeah, during games, you're like, sorry guys, gotta restart my computer.
You do have more issues. You say you love it, but each time I brought up an issue, you were like, oh yeah, I've had that happen before. Oh yeah, that's happened once or twice. Yeah, the drivers are just kind of sucking recently. There's a whole lot of, well, yeah. You know what I did with my 290? I played games for like a year straight. There were 0 driver updates as far as I could remember, 0 tweaking. I set the overclock. It ran super hot. I sweat a bunch, and I played games.
SLI is definitely the enthusiast option. It's more under the hood.
I'm not enthused. That's like saying a little British sports car is the enthusiast choice because you get to spend half your time working on it. It's like, yeah, or I could get like a reliable sports car and just drive it.
What I'm hearing, Jeremiah, is you're just not a true PC gamer.
Maybe that's it. But I'm considering selling my 970.
And Jeremiah's like, I'm okay with that.
Picking up a 980 Ti or a Fury X. We'll see how they are when they come out. But Joel's item.
Hey everybody. At this point in the podcast, we had a very great discussion about a particular game that is in closed alpha right now. And we thought we were safe as far as the NDA goes. We didn't think we were breaking it, but we were able to get a better copy of the NDA today, the day after this podcast was recorded, and we looked it over, and we have discovered that we inadvertently broke NDA in 2 small instances. But even so, we don't want to take the chance, and we have pulled that section from the podcast. You can probably guess what game we were talking about. But unfortunately, we won't be able to talk about it publicly for the rest of the closed alpha. So please enjoy the rest of the podcast, and we're sorry for the inconvenience.
Well, moving on to Dave's news item. Dave, what do you have for us?
Mine's brief. It's just a little bit of talking about PC sales. I first came across this article. I sent it to Joel a few days ago. The Dark Souls series as a whole has passed 8.5 million sales, but the interesting part of that is that of those 8.5 million sales, 3.25 of those are PC, which really surprised me because the Dark Souls 1 port was awful. I mean, it was one of the worst. It was worse than GTA 4. And even after mods, it still was less functional than GTA 4.
Right.
And Joel and I's playthrough is on hold basically until the summoning's fixed. it's beyond broken, but the game is so good. It's like a horrible tease. So the fact that they've actually sold so many copies on PC just surprised me. And I've noticed this trend too with The Witcher 3 selling, and now I've forgotten the numbers, but it was almost 40% of The Witcher 3 sales in those first 2 weeks were PC, of whatever that total number was. Was it 3 million? It was more than that, wasn't it? It was 6 million?
I'm not sure.
We had this on the news a few weeks ago, and I've already forgotten. It's been a crazy couple of weeks. But yeah, with The Witcher 3 sales approaching 40%, it looks like we're finally getting some solid numbers on what PC sales actually are. And sure, you're still going to have the consoles as your primary moneymakers, but the gap is a lot smaller than you've been led to believe. And I've got an article here from upcomingtechnology.org talking about some actual Steam sale numbers. Some really impressive sales for just Steam versions of these games. Fallout New Vegas, 3.8 million copies.
Which is a bona fide hit on any platform. That's not like you want your exclusives to sell better than that, but like if a game did that well on a console, it would be considered a success.
BioShock Infinite, in particular, that's a very cross-platform series. Ran great on everything, looked great on everything, and was not really a PC, like, blockbuster title. Like BioShock Infinite wasn't crazy HD textures. It was just a very stylized, nice-looking, well-running game. But like I said, not a PC headliner, and it still sold, according to, this is all through Steam Spy, a third-party app to track Steam sales, it still sold 3.7 million. And you have the Elder Scrolls Skyrim, which has had... I mean, the Elder Scrolls series has always had a huge tail to it on PC because of mod support, and I occasionally hear people saying like, "Oh, well, modding really doesn't matter for sales. Like, it's a nice extra thing, but it doesn't really matter." Right? I don't know. Elder Scrolls Skyrim Steam sales are estimated to be right at 9.3 million.
Now, is that launch or total?
Total, up to this point. So, and I would argue, looking at the disparity between Skyrim sales and some of these other more linear single-player games, I bet modding and some of those PC features like your HD texture mods and just the flexibility of the game on PC, I would guarantee that it had something to do with those sales. But we just don't hear a whole lot about PC sales. There's still a lot of venues and organizations that only track PC physical sales. And when was the last time you guys bought a PC game in a store, like on a storefront?
Actually,
except for James, because your spy network of game sales extends to like every like back room, dusty like corner market.
He's the spider. Varys the spider of game sales. His little birds sing to him, and he goes and picks up old Command and Conquer box copies.
I think GTA is a box copy.
I think my last box copy.
Well, you got GTA 5 on PC as a.
Yep.
Yeah, to skip the download. To skip the download, you still have to have it registered.
Well, yeah, you install it. I mean, it runs just like you downloaded it, but I did it to save money.
Was it cheaper?
How much money did you save? I'm just curious. Plus gas to drive there.
I mean, it was at Best Buy, so it's not like there was any extra gas.
So you saved $12.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I got the pre-order bonuses too.
Oh, it must have been an older physical copy.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the only times that I'm buying physical copies is if I see like a Newegg sale for like a $5 shipped copy of a game I've been wanting for a while, like Borderlands or something. I'll pick that up box, but because it's $5 like Steam. Yeah. But
James,
it's nice to have tools like the Steam Spy to actually see some numbers.
Yeah, it is. It is, and that's.
I was gonna ask one more thing.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder how. I wish we could have a statistic, and this is pretty much impossible to have, but a statistic of people that own something for a console and then buy it later for the PC, or vice versa.
Yeah,
most of it's Joel. No, I mean, you're not, because I mean, yeah, I bought Witcher for the PS4, but
did you?
I did. Shut it.
I did too, actually.
Well, for your wife, that's different.
Well, I also just wanted to give them more money because I got a free copy and I felt guilty about that.
You did not want to give them more money.
No, I actually did, Joel. Yeah.
He doesn't want to give that money towards new windshield wipers for his wife's car, but he'll do it for The Witcher.
I bought those wipers as soon as I noticed.
At my prompt, and you drove there in the rain, and then
it was not. I told you it was not raining when I drove.
Rained in the last 6 months.
Actually, she said that it had only rained like 2 months earlier, and it wasn't that bad then. So,
Dave, it rains more than that. The wipers were worn out. That's all that matters. All right, James.
And as soon as I noticed, I fixed it.
My point was, though, I've had quite a few games on consoles that I bought on PC just because they go on Steam sale.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that happens quite a bit. You know, they say for $5, it's like, that's only $5.
I bought Skyrim for I think $15 on PC just because I played the crap out of it on console at the time, but I was like, I'll give it a shot because I'd like to just play it, see what it looks like, full textures and everything.
And for some games like that, like Fallout or something, mods.
Yeah.
I want to see the different beautification.
Yeah, like Just Cause 2, I bought it just to try that multiplayer mod out.
James, what's your news item?
Nintendo.
Welcome to the Nintendo Report with James.
Pretty much we should name this a segment of Nintendo. Segment of shame. So anyway, two things this week. I only have one article listed in our notes, but first, Reggie from Nintendo was interviewing, and he said, let me read it, "There's no sugarcoating the negative reactions they've been getting from Metroid Prime."
No crap.
Which is fine, but the thing that... where's that? "We're taking our great IP and transforming them and making them new again. Making them fresh and appealing for the fans who feels they know the franchise." Anyway,
that's all Nintendo does. Is they just re-release the same franchises over and over with new games. That's their whole thing.
But that wasn't the big article. The big article was, I guess it's rumored that they're fast-tracking possibly the NX to start production in October.
They ought to be fast-tracking something.
Which, if anyone doesn't know, that's their next-gen system.
That's the code name for it.
Yeah, the code name.
Yeah. They need to be fast-tracking games or a console. There's no point in them fast-tracking a console if they're not going to make games for it. I don't think people are so upset that the Wii U is slow. I think they're upset that there aren't stuff to play on it.
I mean, I don't know what direction they're going to go with the NX. If I had my guess, it would be some kind of hybrid of portable and system.
If it was like the Wii U gamepad that would also just plug into your TV, and here's the important part, could play HD games, so it could actually compete a little bit, that would probably be good. Charge $400. The only
frustrating part about the whole, I like the idea of the gamepad and stuff in one way, but it also sucks because, one person has a very different controller, everyone else has different controllers. It made it really frustrating to play any kind of co-op games. And Nintendo is known for everyone playing co-op games. And I just didn't like the fact that they try to, I don't know, do something more standard, you know what I mean? Or leave the 3DS or your portable to the kind of unique, different kind of game system, you know? But I don't know, come back to the old style of games. It's the system is the powerful thing, it does the games, and leave the controllers to be a little bit more generic and stuff. Because with the Wii U, even if you use the Game Pro pad, you had to use the gamepad to turn the freaking game on, do settings and everything, because you can't use at all any other controller to do it. You have to use the gamepad.
Well, it was like that with the Wii U also, or the Wii also. You had to use the little motion control to then use the classic controller.
Yeah,
which I thought was kind of stupid.
True. But most of the games played by the Wii remote, though, I guess, at least.
Yeah.
But I find it strange. I mean, I guess I don't find it too strange. They haven't been releasing a lot of great games lately, but it almost feels like they're holding stuff back. There's so many IPs that clearly they're just sitting on for the Wii U
for whatever reason. You don't know why.
If I had my guess, it would be to be for launch for.
How crappy is that though? To just skip a console generation.
But they did that. Not to skip, but
the Last Guardian did that. But anyway.
but they essentially did that with Twilight Princess. Oh no, it's definitely coming out for the GameCube. And if I had my guess, it's gonna be on both.
I mean, if they launched a new Metroid Prime, the new Zelda, and it looked insane on it, those would be two pretty freaking awesome launch games. But I wish that was for the Nintendo Wii, you know what I mean, or Wii U that is, instead of delaying it for the next system. But I don't know.
So apparently, the rumor came from them visiting their supply chains, and from their guess, it says Nintendo's expecting to ship 20 million in the first year, which. I just don't see it.
Wait,
One Zelda game's not going to do that.
How many is
20 million units
next year? Yeah.
Well, if Smash didn't do that and Super Mario didn't move units, why do you think Zelda's going to move units?
I mean, Zelda's big, but it's not. It's maybe 6 million.
If Smash doesn't move units, nothing moves units. Like
Zelda sells more than Smash.
You think so?
Yeah.
Smash
but
is still,
but it's not like ridiculous.
Smash for the GameCube, the original Smash Brothers Melee or Super Smash Brothers Melee is still going for like $40 used. That game has crazy staying power.
I mean, Mario Party 2 on the N64 is like $60.
Well, that's different. That's
not really saying much.
I mean, but they only did what I'm looking at right now, 3.39 million copies of Super Smash Brothers.
Of the new one? Yeah, the new one was a disappointment still.
I mean, Zelda wouldn't double it to,
Yeah, I mean,
almost
6 million. Yeah, that's 6 million would be awesome, but it'd be awesome if they had that, another Mario Brothers game, things like that. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way they're going to move 20 million units.
Now, sadly, if they announce a new Zelda game, or they put the new Zelda game on and it looks as good as I've been seeing, and then they do like a Mario N64 version, like a new Mario 124 or whatever, I don't know, whatever, just the next of it, and then a new Metroid Prime, I'll be like, crap, I want to play that. Because, I mean, those are 3 games I really want to play.
We're going to have a whole episode dedicated to what Nintendo could do.
We do have an upcoming episode. We're going to talk all about Nintendo. But for now, I want to talk about Uncharted 4.
Hold on, my last note.
Oh, sorry.
Last note.
James has a note. A note. Go, James. I'm so sorry.
The PS4 is at, 22 million now?
Sounds about right.
And how long has it been out? Almost 2 years.
Year and a half.
Yeah. And Nintendo's expecting to do that with a console that would most likely not even release until mid-year to do that in the first year. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I don't think
it's going to have to be mind-blowing.
What I think it's going to be is it's going to be something just different, something a lot cheaper.
Yeah, they might be willing to like roll the dice again like they did with the Wii, but who knows?
Anyway.
But Uncharted 4, in the surprising no one category, Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, is officially not going to be 60 FPS anymore. They've said they are dropping the game down to 30 FPS, which does not surprise me at all, because when you saw how pretty the game was, first thing I thought was, there's no way this is going to be 60 FPS when it launches.
It's freaking huge.
Yeah, the PS4 is just not going to be able to handle that. That's all the story. They just said they're cutting it down, and I think that's a good thing. I think they
did say it was going to be for single player, but for multiplayer,
they said they're still targeting 60 frames per second for multiplayer. So that could also mean before launch they go, yep, that's not happening either. But maybe they'll be able to pull it off. I don't care.
Just get it locked.
I don't care if it's 60 or 30 as long as the game is good, and I trust Naughty Dog. But I didn't think there was any way it was going to be 60 FPS.
My prediction is that from here on out, for the Xbox One and the PS4, only FPS games are going to be 60 FPS. Like, I don't see anything else coming out at 60.
That's just ridiculous. 2D scrollers.
Well, okay, AAA releases.
All the PlayStation Plus games will be 60 FPS.
You guys do what I meant.
And then the last thing is Amazon Prime is starting to offer deals on games when you pre-order them.
BRB, guys.
And they're actually pretty good. Now, for the record, I don't think it's smart to pre-order a game ever. Like, there are very few games I would pre-order. I would pre-order The Witcher 3. I can't think of really any other games I'd want to pre-order. Like,
I'll pre-order Fallout 4.
If you want to get like the Pip-Boy edition and stuff like that, that's a little bit different. But like, what as broken as games are most of the time, don't pre-order. Just wait till they come out. If they're good, buy them day one. But to tempt people into pre-ordering, if you have a Prime membership on Amazon, they're going to start offering some deals on games, and some of these are actually pretty good. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege and Tom Clancy's The Division, both can be pre-ordered for $53. Halo 5 can be pre-ordered for $53. So it's a $7 discount. It's a little over a 10% discount.
Not
Black
bad.
Ops 3 only $50. Battlefront $55. Battlefront Deluxe Edition $63, which basically means why not get the Deluxe Edition?
EA says you want to.
But I just thought that was interesting that they're starting to try to entice people that way.
I hadn't heard that.
But that's something that other retailers are kind of doing to a degree anyway.
Yeah, but it's Amazon.
But if you pre-order a game at Best Buy, you generally get like a $10 gift card. And yep.
I'd never heard of that before.
Yep.
I've heard of that before.
Target kind of does something from time to time. But also the Microsoft Store if you pre-order something like Halo 5 or the Rare Collection, which I've pre-ordered both, you get a $10 gift card.
Wait, you pre-ordered Halo 5?
I did because I had some trade-ins.
You would have a lot.
And they were doing a deal where, they had a deal where they give you $5 for each game, and some of the games to trade in, they scanned it to see how much you would get. It was like 90 cents.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right. It is now mail time.
Mail time!
You can write into the show at casualshenanigans@gmail.com, or you go to casualshenanigans.com, our new website, and click the Contact Us button, and you can just send us an email right from there. We have a very long email from Nightwolf. He's written into us, and he says, "Hey guys, it's just some feedback on like our last couple of weeks, so I thought I'd read the whole thing. Everyone buckle in. Hey guys, it's been a while since I've written in, and I'm just listening to your newest podcast in anticipation of all the new changes that are now here. This started as a YouTube post, but I prefer not to blast your comments with a text wall. Jeremiah, to your comment in the beginning on the amount of content that the show has, from a frequent YouTube listener's view, there's a surprising quality of non-BS in between the jokes and fun poking, even though the joking gives you guys show its easily accessible vibe. There's legitimate, knowledgeable PC recommendations. See, Joel, people like it. That are current and is non-sales pitchy. Like I'd said before, this all separates the Casual Shenanigans Gaming podcast from the garbage, crap quality to the opposite extreme, very over-the-top, striving to be television quality, very script, sponsor-fed shows on YouTube. He's saying we're not like those shows.
Thank you to Best Buy and Walmart for doing this.
With sponsors, we could be like that.
I hope as you grow the podcast, you don't lose sight of this. It's very apparent that you are all in this for the passion of gaming. That's only because the money ain't working out. No.
Exactly.
It's very cool to hear you personally help out emailers on direct questions about, will this PC work with these parts? If not, what should I get? There are so many customizable parts to computers, and you guys are very specific with your suggestions. I've made some regrettable purchases on PCs at a younger age. It would have been nice to have someone as knowledgeable as you guys to bounce a question or two off.
Aww.
And I wouldn't want anyone to make the same mistakes. Therefore, I have to give you a big kudos to the Tech Show spinoff, our new show, Casual Shenanigans Tech, where you can write in and we will answer your PC build questions. I assume not, but I'm curious if this will have a separate Patreon, because you guys would totally have my support. No separate Patreon. This is included with everything else. I'm very happy to hear you guys are expanding into console gaming, too, even though I've not touched one since the PS2 or the N64. I bought a used PS3 and turned into a Blu-ray PS2 console instantly after attempting to find decent couch co-op games. It's still good to keep current with all types of gaming, and who knows what the future will bring. I was also excited to hear some brief mentionings of cross-platform online gaming with Xbox and PC at E3. And those games where they mentioned that, they've said you're going to have to use a controller on the PC because Microsoft sucks. I was reminded by a listener on episode 100 back when I first started tuning in, and I heard Jeremiah talk about how to balance life, work, and gaming. I'm more so curious, there's an actual question here, by the way. I'm curious how you guys are finding the time to balance the work that is put into the show, your jobs, and life. You had mentioned that you do freelance work and it's pretty much your own schedule. Is this your preferred way of working, or would you give that up for a more structured, constant work week? I'm in a situation where I work constantly paid salary, so I'm paid for 40 hours, but I work for 55 or 65, more in the summer, and I find it hard to even get decent gaming in on some weeknights. Weekends quickly turn into a game fest, and keeping up with everything else tends to go to crap. I feel that I can't help my weekend gaming habit as I was basically born craving a good gaming experience. So before I read the rest of it, we're going to go and answer that question. I feel like he was addressing me directly with the freelance thing, so I'll answer that, but then I'll let you guys chip in. Nightwolf, and we're taking a little longer on his piece of mail because that's the only one we have this week. Nightwolf, I like freelancing. I started freelancing because I wasn't in the best work situation. I wanted to leave it, and I'd been doing a little bit of freelancing on the side already, and I had the opportunity to expand it, and I was basically able to replace my income in about a month of freelancing. So it made the most sense at the time. As far as how do we balance what goes into the show, Casual Shenanigans is basically my part-time job. I mean, the balance is I spend a lot of time on it. Like, there's no magic trick to it. I tend to stay up late, but it's nice because I freelance. I can sleep in a little later. I get up, I go run errands, I go to the gym, I come back home, I work for 6 or 7 hours on my day job most days, and then I eat dinner. My wife and I spend a couple hours together, and then she goes off to do her own stuff in the evening, and I start working on Casual Shenanigans, and I do that for a couple hours, and then if I'm able to get that done in time, I game a little bit before I go to bed. But I schedule every hour of every day. That doesn't mean like I'm not lazy every once in a while or something, but like that's the only way for me to fit it in is it has to be planned in. I never sit around and wonder what's going on, but that's the way I like it. Like I like always having stuff to do. I like always being busy, and I wouldn't really want it any other way, even though sometimes I'm a little busier than I'd like to be. But there is no secret. Like it's just a constant balance. Some weeks I'm able to spend a lot more time on casual shenanigans. Some weeks I'm able to game a lot more. And some weeks, like during the summer season, which is my busy season for work, some weeks I work 80 hours and I can't do either of those. So it's just about trying to fit it all in. But what do you guys have to say?
My tip would be if you're not finding that you're having enough time for gaming, have like a kind of categorized gaming where you have your game that you can go to and play for 10, 15 minutes and get your fix. And then your more serious ones for when you actually get time. Like for me this week, it's been trials. Just go in,
pick up and play,
do a few tracks, go to bed. And then
I totally agree with what James says.
That's a good point.
And when I get time, then I'll sit and play something like Witcher or something.
Yeah,
that's right. You do,
and that's why I actually really enjoy games like Call of Duty and stuff, because those are the games that like I don't have time to invest a lot amount of time into, and no one else, like I don't have time to play multiplayer with other people. And for me, like I don't play a lot of multiplayer games on my own because you play it and you get nowhere. Like you essentially win a match, but you don't do anything to further your character, for the story. So really, you just spent 15 minutes. In a way, and I mean, it's all it's all good time, but it kind of feel like a wasting time for me. So I usually play multiplayer games or something like that kind of has no like story advancement, no leveling up, nothing like your character's getting better, that I'm progressing more in the story. And I kind of switch between a couple of different games depending on how time I have. So.
Cool. I would also say set realistic expectations of how long you're really going to play. Like when we set out to play GTA or something, or back in the day of Daisy or something, it's like I'm only going to play like an hour, and then like. Especially Payday. When we first started playing Payday,
I deleted it because of that.
I had no clue we were going to sit and play for 5 hours straight. So there's a little bit of scheduling. So okay,
only minor regrets. Minor regrets.
So
the rest of his email, he says, as much as I'd like to catch you guys live, it's rarely feasible, but I promise I will make it to one of your live shows soon. I tend to catch you on YouTube during work and drive through the crunch. You guys remind me very much of my group of gaming friends, and they are who I look forward to gaming with as soon as I get the hell done with work and all the other BS that comes with being an adult. I'm very much a social gamer in this aspect and tend to think that's why I will always be a PC gamer. The more the better, and the more ridiculous the conversations get while gaming. From my perspective, it kind of sucks that you're keeping the show to an hour, although we're not tonight, even though you're doing the new tech show. I hope it doesn't take too much away from the current reckless jokester vibe you guys have always had. Yet, I can totally understand. I truly don't know how you find the time to do all this. Help me. With that said, and with James mentioning live talks before the show, is there any chance I could catch these being a Patreon supporter? In all honesty, I could easily use 8 hours of content a week to remove me of the stress that is my work life, but for $5, it's a bit much to ask. That barely even covers Dave and Joel's taco betting costs.
Oh, speaking of which, Joel, you still owe me iced coffee. And whatever else was involved. I've forgotten all this.
I want that to be delivered on the podcast.
What else is involved.
The listeners deserve to know. I want that delivered on the show.
Man, how many weeks could Joel pay for my iced coffee, like for the podcast? I wonder now. What were we up to, Joel? 5?
As I may not find the time over the summer to write in anytime soon, I wish you all the best of luck and a big thank you for getting me through the work week. Casual out, Nightwolf.
Now, he said it in there. He loves social gaming. He we reminded him of his friends. Mm-hmm. Definitely should come out to hang out on Teamspeak.
Yes.
That's one of the events that we do.
Yes, and we're going to try to announce more of those coming up soon, more community events.
Something he could even do as well is iPhone or Android. I think it's on both. I know it's on iPhone, but you can get the Teamspeak app on there.
Don't talk about that now, Joel. The other night, Ultra Grunt added that onto Pierogi's phone so he could hang out while we were all playing GTA because he's over in the States, and his voice sounded like a half-speed robot. Like, like there is a TeamSpeak app. Set your expectations reasonably low.
I don't know what his connection was. I used it before, and I played with Dave, and he didn't even know I was using it. It sounds. You gotta have headphones and stuff like that. Yeah,
it can be fine. It's not the best app though. Like it's a good.
Well, I'm just saying, if you just want to sit and listen and hang out or something like that, if he's not able to play a game, he could be. Driving the car, I don't know.
But yeah, definitely come hang out in TeamSpeak.
Let us know if you also have GTA. Join us on that. Join our
Yes, and we've gotten a couple comments for anyone who's in our the Seal Slappers, our Casual Shenanigans GTA crew. If you're complaining that you don't, like a couple of people have said they never see people online. Anytime we're playing, when we do events like races and stuff, we try to invite everyone who's online in the crew to those events. But if you're not online, you probably will miss it. But coming up, Debbie, our GTA administrator, is going to be working on some community events we can hopefully invite a bunch of people out to. And we'll promote that more on the podcast, so you'll know about it more ahead of time. We'll try to get more of you out there. But yeah, there's like 40-something people in the Seal Slappers now. We've had like a half dozen people that we don't know yet have hopped onto TeamSpeak to play with us, so that's pretty cool. But
I started calling GTA 5 the everyman's game. Like, no matter if you're into shooters, RPGs, whatever, you can have fun and laugh like crazy in GTA 5 with some friends. It's just with amazing.
Our group, we have a pretty funny group. I'm not taking credit. I'm saying like the group of everyone together, they're pretty fun to play with. So it's pretty.
But it's extra good when I'm on.
But icing on the cake.
That's not what I meant. But yeah,
sweet cherry.
All right. Very uncomfortable.
Do you like this? This is my meme face.
But anyway, that is mail time. Remember, you can write in casualshenanigans@gmail.com. It's now time for 90 Seconds with Joel, the part of the podcast where Joel talks about whatever he wants for hopefully 5 minutes or less, because that's the amount of time I have allotted on the sheet. Fool.
I was going to mention, I forgot the username you just read the email out for.
Nightwolf.
You remember? Nightwolf. If you join the podcast live, message in and I'll shout your name out in a weird, wacky voice to say, thanks for listening. We appreciate you guys doing that. And thanks for writing in.
Okay. Sorry, Joel, before you go, one quick thing I wanted to mention, like he said in his email, if you guys want to get us warming up for the podcast, if you would honestly like to get that as a small download, like another casual conversation, let us know. I don't think the quality is there. I think you'll be sorely disappointed. But if you just want more of us picking on Joel, send us a comment or an email, and like if a bunch of people want that, maybe we'll do it. I honestly did not think anyone would care.
Me, Joel, you're a douche.
All right, Joel, you're up.
Okay, I'm getting so pissed with these clickbait articles, man. Like Facebook, dude, is just turning.
Joel is pissed at this article. You'll never believe what he does after that.
Dude, okay. First, I'm becoming really pissed, but now I'm like starting to really love them. Okay. Because it's like, I just like to think it's like actually real. Like that's exactly how people are thinking. And I just started laughing because if you start reading this out, like these scientists that are like such and such found a barrel underground. You won't believe what blew their minds. And I'm just thinking these scientists going, oh my God. Like everywhere. It's always like,
no one will believe us.
Yeah, someone did something with celery. You won't believe what happened next. I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, celery? Oh shit!
I saw one of those today. A guy, there was an article that said, "You'll never believe these 10 mind-blowing facts about this band." And I was like, "All right." And it was like, when I was in high school, I played tennis. It's like, what?
I don't know. I'm really enjoying it now. I don't ever read in the articles, but I just love just what they say. It's just like the spacecraft blew up, but you won't believe what happened next when he found a dessert, or just some stupid thing.
I feel like they have like a wheel generator where they're just spin it. Like, how are we gonna tease it?
You won't believe what such and such. I'm like, oh my God, it's like everyone's freaking out, man. Dude, there's like so many. Every news agency is just freaking out. Like, oh my God.
Well, it's bad when I wouldn't say reputable, but bigger news sites start doing it too.
Yeah, like Huffington Post.
I mean, I'm used to like the little crappy ones,
right?
Doing
they're
it.
Just
like,
fishing for views.
Yeah, but like when the big ones start doing it too, it's like,
If it takes you any comfort, they're not trying to scam you. They just literally don't care what you do as long as you click the link. They just want that click. They want that little bit of ad revenue. They don't care if you even read the content. You can tell by reading most of their articles. But yeah, it just...
Don't forget to catch our next episode, because you won't believe what we found out.
I don't even know what the next episode is.
103.
And each 5-minute segment's on a different page. You have to click next, and it like loads a whole new page with new ads where you can view it. Anyway. But that's the show this week, guys. I do want to tease coming up 2 weeks from now on the 16th, we're going to have Tristan Moore from Broken Window Studios. He's going to be back on. He's the guy that made Grave, which was successfully kickstarted after an appearance on our show. Is it a coincidence? Can't really say.
Most definitely. But you wouldn't believe what happened next.
But he's also made another game that's got greenlit and is on Steam right now, Reflections. We're going to be checking that out soon. And we're going to have him back on, and we're going to have a whole podcast dedicated to indie games. And we're going to be talking all about the little games that have all kinds of innovation and awesome, cool stuff happening in them that you don't always see in AAA games. So that'll be coming up 2 weeks from now. Let me go through the whole rigmarole now. So you can find the podcast on iTunes. Please go rate us on iTunes. Leave a review. It actually really does help us out. We say stuff like it really helps us out as a joke, but it really does help us out if you go leave a rating or a review on iTunes. And we might read some of those out soon if we get some cool ones. But you can write into the show, casualshenanigans@gmail.com. You can go to our new website, casualshenanigans.com. You can watch past episodes of the show, look at Potato Masher stuff. There will be lots of new content getting added onto that very, very slowly as I'm able to produce it. Because like I said, I'm a little bit limited on time. But as we're able to do it, we will be doing that. And you can find us on Twitter, Casual Shenaniga, and Germ Gaming, and Evil Viking. And then on YouTube, youtube.com/casualshenanigans, Germ Gaming, and Evil Viking 13. There are more Potato Masher videos coming soon. Right now, I'm working on Project Cars. That'll hopefully be coming in the next couple of weeks here. And does anyone else have anything else they want to add before we go here?
Nope. No, we'll probably start getting more emails saying, guys, make the podcast longer. So if you pay us more, we'll give you back what we took away.
And Joel, what's that link?
Why it's patreon.com/casualshenanigans.
Well, thanks, Joel.
We can start cutting the podcast off at 1 hour. Make sure to watch the next part. It'll blow your mind.
Be sure to unlock the season pass to see the ending.
No, lines don't cross. Those are lines that don't cross. We don't go to Raven.
Or we just straight cut the podcast mid-sentence. It's like, find out next.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching. And as always, stay casual.